Hello my lovely little coffee beans, my name is Sarah. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today is the start of a brand new horror reading vlog. As you can tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be reading 4 different horror novellas. One of them, not so sure it counts as a novella because it is over 200 pages, but I still wanted to read it and include it in this video, so we're just including it, okay? It's just happening. So please don't comment saying this book does not count as a novella because it's over 200 pages. It's 220 pages, okay? It's not that serious. So the books I'm gonna be reading in today's vlog are Out Behind the Barn by John Bowden and Chad Lutz, Dear Laura by Gemma Amor, Anybody Home by Michael J. Sedlinger? I don't know. This is the book that's 220 pages, but it still looks fairly short and I would count it as a novella. Sorry, not sorry. And then the last book is They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. So if you would like to see my full thoughts and feelings about these 4 horror novellas, keep on watching. Okay, hi. I have finished my first book. And also I have a friend. Ella, would you like to say hi? She's like, do not disturb, I am sleeping. So I finished my first book. I decided to start with Out Behind the Barn by, I know Chad Lutz is a co-writer, I just don't know the other author. But I will pop a picture up on the screen. And I don't know how I feel about it, to be completely honest. At first I was like, okay, is this even horror? Because I didn't read the synopsis or anything, I just heard somebody else. I think Gwen read it. I don't remember if she liked it or not. And so I was like, that cover is very interesting. And then I added it to my Kindle Unlimited library like a couple of months ago and just never took it off. And I just assumed it was horror because of the title and the cover and the fact that Chad Lutz is one of the co-writers of it. But yeah, like 50-ish, no, 35% in, I was like, I think I was wrong about this being horror. And then it did get a little bit more, like it is horror, but like not overtly horror, but it's still like it is a horror novella. Anyway, I don't know why I was trying to go into the logistics of what horror is, but anyway, take a shot for every time I say horror in this vlog because you're gonna be drunk or dead, whichever one comes first. But yeah, so I finished that. Basically it was about these 2 boys who live with someone they call Miss Maggie, and not every night, but it always happens in the middle of the night that Miss Maggie will bring home a new person who will live with them for a time, and they always have a mark on their forehead, like a red mark. Do you see where I'm going with this? Miss Maggie will just come in to the farm with her freaking truck and then just like haul a body into the barn, and then the next day this person is like helping them do chores and eating breakfast with them and all this stuff, and like it's just very odd. And you're like, where is she finding these people, and also what the heck's going on? But I can't say anything other than that, obviously. These people just never stay for too long. They always end up disappearing, quote unquote. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I'm usually not the type of person anymore. I am a perfectionist and I am a stickler for grammar, but I read a lot of indie books now that spelling errors, I just forgive them because obviously they're not as heavily checked as traditionally published books and stuff. So I'm very forgiving with spelling errors these days because there's not a lot of them, there's not a ton. But in this book, I get that they're Southern and they're not supposed to talk correctly. Like instead of, I don't even know what an example would be, but something about like, what are them holes for? Or here's another one. Feeds us, even though ya can't taste nothing no more. And nothing is not with a G at the end, and then ya is obviously supposed to be you, but it's ya. You get it. But there was a lot of, other than talking for Southern purposes, that's such a weird sentence for me to say, but I'm saying it. There was a lot that was just incorrect grammar, like putting S's on the ends of things that didn't need S's. And then another thing that was even more distracting than that for me was the incorrect use of quotation marks. There would be the beginning quotation marks and then there's no end. Or there would be one and then it would end like after it said, like after their speaking part was over, if that makes sense. Like it would start a quotation mark as if this is what they're saying, and then it would just never have an ending quotation mark, which happened a lot. Or it would be in a random spot, like they had talked before that, but there was no quotation mark at the beginning of that sentence, but then it was at another sentence. So that was very distracting. I think I'm gonna give the book a 3-star because it wasn't anything spectacular, but I also did like where it went. It was okay. It was alright. It was meh. So it was 3 stars. You get the gist. Also, that was my 200th book of the year. So sad that it wasn't a 5-star. That was my 200th book, but I didn't plan that out correctly. I just kind of picked whichever one came to my mind first. I am aiming to read at least one more novella before I go to bed. Hopefully 2, but I'm aiming for 1. And then we shall see what happens after that. But I will update you once I've read something else. This is not the best angle, but we're going with it. I started Dear Laura by Gemma Amor, and I am now 53% into it. I'm on page 66, and wow, am I loving it. Definitely right off the bat, I'm loving it way more than I liked Out Behind the Barn. It just sucks you right in. So basically, our main character, Laura, is getting these letters from someone called X every birthday of hers. And we find out that her friend Bobby, you know, was taken from the bus stop when she was 13. Like when they were both 13, they were dating at the time. Basically, he just got into somebody's van and then was never seen again. And so she basically is doing all the things that X is telling her to do, but now she's becoming skeptical, so it's getting juicy. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm getting really tired, so I think I might crack open a Red Bull. I was gonna make another coffee, but then I was like, maybe I should just have a Red Bull instead, because desperate times call for desperate measures. And I'm not talking Katie Robert. Hey! Loving it. Hoping to finish within the hour. So wish me luck. Back at it again with a different angle, but in the same chair. I finished Dear Laura by Gemma Amor, and it is now 2:15. I'm getting really tired. I did crack open a Red Bull and I'm currently almost done with it, but I was nodding off in the last like 5 pages of that book. I did really like it. I don't love how it ended though, so I'm gonna knock off a star for that. It was very anticlimactic in my opinion, but overall I had a really fun time with it, and it kept me guessing the entire time. I just wish that the outcome had been less lackluster, I guess. 4 stars to Dear Laura. Hello, I'm about to start Anybody Home. I am super excited for this. I just made sure that all of my doors were locked, and it's good that I did because most of the time I just figure that they're locked because like as soon as I walk in the door, I lock the door, and then my sister usually does the same thing. But literally when I went to go just double check, it wasn't locked. So like we're already starting off on a bad note. But I got both of my cats with me. There's Stormy, and then here's Patty. Mwah. But yeah, so I'm gonna start Anybody Home, and I'm going to actually turn off my light that I have on right now. You can't even see that. And instead, I'm going to use my handy dandy little book light to try to set the mood, you know, read in the dark. I mean, obviously I can't read in the full pitch black dark because I have to see the words on the page, but yeah. And it just started raining, so the vibes are immaculate. Let's get to reading.
Trick-or-treating or just candy in general? I need to know now. I went
Reese's.
Reese's?
My favorite chocolate is Reese's.
Yeah.
I did love Fun Dip at that time in my life, yeah.
At that time in my life.
I also still really like Sour Patch Kids.
Oh yeah, Sour Patch Kids. Like today, if I was out trick-or-treating as an adult, that's what I would want the most is Sour Patch Kids.
Confirmed. Kaylee has immaculate taste when it comes to candy. Fun Dip and Sour Patch Kids.
Acceptable.
Snickers rules. My favorite candy is called peanut butter bars. I also like Fun Dip and Sour Patch Kids. Haha, basically love almost all candy. Yeah, I love candy.
No lie, the freaking doorbell just rung while I was reading, and I got spooked. Trick-or-treaters need to go away. Anybody home? The answer is no. They're knocking on the door now. I hate this. I hate this so much. Hello, it's me, back again. I am about to make another coffee, and I figured I would update you on my thoughts and feelings and what page I'm on of Anybody Home while I make my coffee. Also, if you haven't tried Javi, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's literally so good, and it's so easy and convenient to make, and this small bottle is literally 30 servings. You just add 1 tablespoon per 8 ounces of water. I really like to make lattes with it, so I just put 8 ounces of water in here, my 1 tablespoon of Javi, and then some ice and some frothed almond milk creamer, and you've got yourself a perfect little latte. If you want to get some for yourself, which you should, then you can use my code, which I'll put on the screen right here, and I'll link down below in the description box for some money off of your first purchase. Just saying. But yeah, okay, so let's talk about Anybody Home. My camera's about to die. This is great. Anybody Home. Let's talk about it. The narrative style was a little rough to get into at first because it is told in second person, which I just read a book recently that was written in second person, I think, and that one also took me a second to get into, but once I was in. This one, it's not necessarily scaring me as much as I thought it would, but at the same time, I mean, you saw that clip earlier where I was reading my book and then somebody rang my doorbell and then proceeded to then knock on the door afterwards. So that was a little weird, and I just like never answer my door ever because you never know who's at your front door, and this book is just further proving why I don't answer the door ever. And yeah, it's like there are some creepy parts of it. Like, I always fall asleep with the TV on, but every TV I've ever had has a power saving mode that I turn on. So when I wake up, the TV will be off. But there was one scene in the book where the wife is sleeping and she has the TV on, and he literally, like, the intruder, he's like telling you that he turned off the TV and then stood there and watched her sleep. And I was like, I'm never gonna think the same way again when I wake up and the TV's just off. Like, I'm gonna think somebody came in and turned it off instead of it just turning off because of the power saving mode. Yeah, that's a lot. That was creepy, but it's kind of dragging. It's 220 pages or somewhere around there, and I'm on page 85, I think, and it just feels long. Let me go get my creamer. BRB. Oh wait, and I need my ice. Let me change angles real quick. Alrighty then. Chef's kiss. My expectations going into this book are that, wow, I'm gonna start reading this and then I'm gonna be very paranoid, and so far that hasn't really happened. I mean, like I said, that one scene kind of creeped me out, but other than that, it's just a lot of like talk of planning. And yeah, it is kind of disturbing when you think about the fact that people who do this and invade homes, I don't even want to say for a living, but like they're seasoned home invaders. This is their thought process and this is how they plan things out, and like they can then make assumptions about people based on, you know, what other people do. Like, for example, if people have alarm systems, most likely they're only gonna have them set at night. They're not gonna have them set during the day, or especially when people are home during the day, they're not gonna have them set. It just feels very drawn out. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm not liking it. It's just not what I expected it to be, which is what I feel like a lot of the reviews for the book initially said. And so I knew it would probably go against my expectations, but I thought I would still like it. And I guess that's kind of what what is happening. I don't even know how to describe it, but basically it's not as freaky as I was thinking it was going to be, and it's also kind of a struggle to get into. But I'm hoping to finish it tonight before I go to sleep with the help of my coffee, and that's it. That's the update. I'm gonna change into my PJs now, get a little comfier, and hopefully my next update will be when I have finished the book. Okay, another kind of creepy part just happened. So they're basically setting up the house for the final like invasion. And it says, set up the television so that it plays what the camera sees. Yeah, it'll run all night, no sound, it'll only distract. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes before one of the victims notice. Like, how would you not notice that right away? Especially if it's like in the living room or something. I mean, but these are the same people who didn't notice that their dog was missing. I don't know. I'm expecting too much from these people and they just keep letting me down. Okay, it pains me to say this, but I am going to be DNFing anybody home. I got to page 91, chapter 9, and I'm almost halfway, kind of, maybe. And I just can't do it anymore. But I think, hear me out, this is giving me the same feelings that You by Carolyn Kepnes did, because originally I picked up that book physically and I wasn't vibing with the writing style because it was like, you do this, I watch you walk here, and I just could not get into it reading it physically. So I DNF'd it originally, and then I picked it up again later on audio, and I freaking loved it, and it's now one of my favorite books of all time. So I think that's what's happening with this book, just the way it's told. It would be so much more engaging and creepier if it was being read to me, if that makes sense. Right now, there's no audiobook for it anywhere, and I'm not even sure if there ever will be, because it is from a smaller publishing house. So I don't know if it'll ever get an audiobook, but if it does, I will definitely pick it back up. But I just can't read it physically. There's just something about it that it's so convoluted to follow, because there's like, victim number 1 does this, invader number 2, victim number 4, and it's just a lot. I just feel like if somebody were reading this to me, I would be creeped out. But me reading it to myself, it just doesn't do anything. It just seems like I'm trying to solve a math equation or something. I don't know, but yeah, sad to say that this is a big fat DNF. But again, if an audiobook ever comes out for it, I will pick it back up, but I will just never pick it back up again physically. But anyway, before I start like rambling about nothing that anyone cares about, I'm gonna go. Ta-ta for now. Hi, hello, we're back at it in my favorite chair. I wanted to do a little update and let you know that I did start They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. So I was watching an interview to see if I was saying their name right? And I was watching so many different like podcast format interviews, and all of them said his name a different way, and I was like, okay, but how am I supposed to know? There was one where whoever was actually interviewing them said, how do you pronounce your last name? Like, the people want to know. And they were like, it's LaRocca is how I've always said it, but I'm fine with either. So I'm just gonna keep saying LaRocca because that's what I've been saying, and to switch it up now would just be too much, but they were fine with it, so whatever you want to say works. Anyways, that's not what this update is about, but I read the first 2 little stories because this is split up into, I wouldn't even say like chapters. There are some that are split up into actual like parts, and then there are ones that have Roman numerals. So see, like here is an actual intro, I guess, to a new story, and then within that we have chapters, question mark. Well, obviously LOL, not in that one specifically, the literal one that I'm showing you, but I guess just the first section then, now that I'm looking at it. The They Were Here Before Us thing has Roman numerals dividing it up. So I'm on chapter 3 of part 1, and it's deliciously disturbing. Like the first chapter, I was living it up, okay? I mean, if you know, you know. Obviously, I'm not gonna go into any detail whatsoever. This is literally, close one eye and the book disappears. It's only 98 pages, question mark? Yeah, it's 98 pages long. So anything I say will be a spoiler, but I'll just say that at the very beginning, there is not even a freaking like author's note, it's a word of warning at the very beginning of the book to know like what you're getting yourself into. But the first story was actually so good. It started off on such a great note too. So I just hope it continues. And then the second story, like the second chapter, isn't directly connected to the first chapter. So I'm trying to like understand why it's put together the way it is. I mean, obviously once I finish it, I'll probably know. Out of the first 2 chapters in section 1, the first chapter is my favorite. But I'll let you know once I finish it if that still stands, if the first chapter is still my favorite part of the entire book. I'm always living for Eric LaRocca's writing. Like, they can do no wrong, in my opinion. Yeah, I will update you once I have finished this. Final conclusion, Eric does it again. That was phenomenal. Okay. Don't let anyone tell you different. If you liked it as much as I did, then we are kindred spirits, okay? I'm not gonna lie though, that last story had me a little confused and I had to go back and read it again. But hot damn, I don't know, every time I'm reading something by Eric LaRocca, like I just get this like overwhelmingly happy feeling, and I don't know how to like even explain it, to be honest, but Eric LaRocca does it again. I don't know what else I can say. My ranking, even counting the chapters of the first section as their own individual stories, I'm gonna say All That Remains Is Yours to Keep, which is the first chapter of the first section, and then number 2 is probably A God Made of Straw. Number 3 would be Bird and Bug Are Happy. Number 4 would be Delicacies from a First Communion, and then lastly would be When It's Dark Out. But still all phenomenal, and just I'm speechless. Read it if you haven't already, and I have no words. I don't know, but yeah, so that's my ranking. Again, I'm not gonna go into any specifics because it is so short. But I mean, all these books in this vlog are short. They're all novellas. You get it. I know I've been giving somewhat of a synopsis for the other books, but this one I just like literally cannot. Cover of the book kind of tells you exactly what we're dealing with here, if you just look closely. That is it. That is the vlog. Those are the 4 books. None of them were the same experience, the same rating or anything, which I think is very interesting. Like a 3-star, a 4-star, a DNF, and a 5-star. Who would have thunk that would happen out of just reading 4 horror novellas? I would love to do a part 2 and possibly part 3 and possibly part 4 because there are so many horror novellas that I'm interested in reading. I actually made a master list of all the ones that I want to read. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see a part 2 at least. of this. And also let me know what some of your favorite horror novellas are down below. I would love to read some of your suggestions also. But that does it for the video. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!